Awesome.
Hello and welcome to our webinar. We're just going to wait a couple of seconds to make sure everybody who wants to get in can get in, and then we'll get stuck right in. All right, so the session we're talking on today is on empowering connection and how enhancing employee engagement through digital portals. I will go straight into an acknowledgement of country. Cloudworks acknowledges and pays respect to the past, present, and future traditional custodians and elders of the nation and the continuation of cultural, spiritual, and educational practices of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. All right, everyone, welcome to WorksFest. Whether this is your first session or you've been with us throughout the WorksFest week, I'm really glad you could join us. My name is Martina. I'm your host for today. I've been part of the Cloudworks family as a consultant for almost 4 years. During my time here, I've worked across a number of different industries, including education, property management, and retail. And most recently, I've been involved in an initiative with a customer around a digital portal for their employees. And I look forward to speaking with our panel about this further today. Now, for those of you new to Cloudworks, I'll just take a really quick moment to introduce us. We transform how businesses use Salesforce by integrating it with cutting-edge data, analytics, and AI technology. Our work extends beyond just implementation and boosting efficiency. We ensure the effective use of customer data and AI across the entire organizations, which becomes a powerful catalyst for significant growth and innovation. With our recent acquisition of Lightfold, the leading customer data company, and our deep-rooted expertise in Salesforce, Cloudworks is uniquely equipped to help our customers adapt to this change and ensure they remain relevant and competitive within their industries. During WorksFest, you'll have the chance to hear directly from various customers who have seen these transformations firsthand. We also offer educational sessions packed with actionable how-to tips tailored to our organizations. Make sure you check them out. Just a couple of housekeeping things as we get into today's discussion. We do encourage you to post any questions you may have using the quick Q&A button below. You can remain anonymous if you like. Also, make sure to check out the resources button for additional information that you might find valuable. All right, so today's talk is shaping up to be something really special, and I'm excited to have Adam Faulkner from Blue Egg and Supriya Shona from Cloudworks with me. Welcome, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, so thank you both for being here. To start us off, can you both share your thoughts on how customers' needs have evolved in recent years and the impact that this has had on the employee experience?
Sure.
Yeah, Supriya.
Yeah, happy to go first. I think, as everyone can probably attest, there's been a massive boom of digital transformation type projects. And it's left organizations with a lot of systems and a lot of digital tools to work with, especially since COVID fundamentally changed how we all work together to get jobs done. Having this kind of spaghetti everywhere, disconnected systems and processes can be really overwhelming, especially for employees. You know, it slows the ramp for onboarding. It impacts how engaged employees are with the organization, and ultimately it'll impact that customer experience and service experience. So really, organizations are kind of learning rather quickly that if you improve the experience of employees, you can really directly impact the experience of customers.
Adam, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think, firstly, hi, everyone. Firstly, I think the needs of users have changed a lot over time, and businesses have started to really recognize that in a really positive way. And, you know, experiences are really important, and they're important for a bunch of reasons. They're important because we reduce anxiety. They're important because we improve discoverability, because we manage a team member through a process or through a user through a process, with the ultimate goal of helping them complete a task or complete something that's important to them, that adds value to them. You know, and the way that we do these sorts of things is it's through research, right? The way that you are able to nail these kinds of things is by talking to humans. You know, it's a really simple bit, but if you talk to humans, you're able to actually have that really clear understanding of what it is they need and what's broken with a process, and how do we probe and delve deeper into that, you know, by sitting and talking with people about what is it that's an issue that they're having currently, or what is it that they're finding difficult. And because negativity or something that is broken or something that is bad is actually really good, because it means it gives us an opportunity to make that experience better. And it means that we can look at those flows, look at those pain points, and really help business. And I think what I'm really liking now is, I've been doing this for a long time, and the maturity of design and UX and getting things built is really going up a lot of notches now, where businesses not only recognize that value of, getting people to buy more stuff, but also the value of having team members happier and to improve the experience internally because of the productivity and the efficiency and all of the gains you get, and just people being happier, because that's important too. So I think there's a lot of different elements to this process that we can really delve into, but that's just some of the things I think is the maturity is really getting there now, and I think that's a really good thing. And the end result is an evidence-based approach to the employee experience, and I think that's a really awesome outcome. I'm a scientist by background, so anything that we can do that is evidence-based to improve an experience, it's always happy days.
Fantastic. There's some really good points. Yeah, I agree. Like the importance of organizations being able to have information, house information, and also, adapt to process changing, customer needs changing all the time, and being able to communicate those through to their employees. Having a platform for that is really good. And also, Adam, you touched on this. We are so, I think Supriya, you might have as well, we're so dispersed in this new post-COVID world that we, it can be really hard to build a sense of community within our teams. And thank you for your inputs. Now, looking ahead, what innovations do you think will shape the future of digital portals and employee engagement, and how can organizations also prepare for those changes? Priya, we'll go back to you maybe.
I'll take that one. So everyone's heard about it. First and foremost, it's everywhere. AI, machine learning. These types of new technologies can impact everything from basic productivity or content generation to really powering and enabling even predictive analytics. The landscape is so broad, and I think we're really just kind of seeing the tip of the iceberg in terms of what those mean for organizations in different industries and what they mean for employees day to day. Those advanced analytics and the data science behind them will really allow us to process larger, more ambiguous data sets. This is across channels for both employees and customers, and providing that really much more deeper insight into behavior and into engagement beyond just sort of your simple employee engagement survey or customer satisfaction survey, and really power data-driven decision-making in organizations that's proactive rather than reactive. We've waited 6 months to evaluate this metric. Now, what do we do about it for the next 6 months? It's going to be closer to real time and closer to being able to be proactive about making these changes. And I think collaboration tools are only going to grow and develop over time. And organizations need to be thinking not just about how they adopt them, but how they integrate to existing process. We all love to kind of buy a new widget, but it really needs to be in the context of how work needs to be done in the organization and how work needs to change to embrace new technology. Adam?
Thank you, Adam.
Yeah, I think but it's also those other ones too, right? In terms of the metrics around usefulness and how we actually want to manage that approach. How are we actually adding value? How do we bring value to the user? And I think that's the really key thing. And to me, there's some key tips around this. It's around being contextual. It's about being personalized. It's about doing the structural bits properly, which means that we can set it up for a framework to be able to use those metrics in a positive way, but also deliver the value to the team member in a way that I think, adds a lot of help to what they're doing, and helping them find information. I mean, that's often the issue, is that they can't find information. So how do we make that easier? And the end result there is trust. They trust us more because we're the employer and we're building a better experience for them, and they get the information that they need. They can do their job more efficiently and more productively. There's a benefits to the employer. There's benefits to the employee. I think there's just so many reasons why this experience piece, metrics wise, but also value wise, is super important, and really good timing now with the, as I said, the maturity and businesses really willing now to take this on board and take it seriously.
Fantastic. Adam, I understand. Sorry, Supriya, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, as Adam was speaking, you know, in our consulting practice, we really try to harness the power of service design concepts, which sees everything as a system, and really understand that human element and that technology element. And you can't adopt new innovation or redesign experiences without understanding how everything connects together, especially that front stage customer experience you're trying to drive, and then, you know, the employees that are sort of frantically working in the backstage to deliver that. And you know, that contextuality and that trust, the ease of finding the thing I need to do my best work is crucial.
Awesome. Now, Adam, I understand you have a real world example that you want to share with us. And could you walk us through a customer project where an organization's actually tried to tackle this challenge?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, from a portal perspective, you know, it's a very common piece where we often are is organizations have, you know, significant collections of portals, disparate areas of information, inconsistent information. You know, sometimes particular areas within a business are very good at this piece of communicating. Sometimes areas of the business are very bad at it, which means that new people who start have no idea sometimes, or it's very dependent on their managers. You know, policies are hard to find, content is hard to find, and the experience can be really inconsistent, uncurated, and confusing. So I think that's a real challenge there. So what we need to do is we need to understand those problems. We need to really talk to humans, as I said before, because that's always a good thing. I mean, I like talking to humans anyway, but we need to talk to humans as a good starting point, and do that research, right? And sort of working with stakeholders and partners, including Cloudworks, who we've been lucky enough to work with on a number of great projects. And I think, you know, why I say working with partners, it's important to do that right at the beginning, because I love creating great experiences, but it's also important to be realistic and be pragmatic as well, to make sure that we can deliver things in a way that is achievable and that meets the expectations of what we want to do. So we need to have a North Star, but we also need to be mindful along the way that we can't just blow something up and do something new. We have to have a process for that. So I think that's definitely the element there. Did I lose that screen, Martina? Oh, that's back.
That's coming back now.
Okay, I thought it might have been something I did, so that's all right. All right, so then that's that, you know, that in the partnership with our partners like Cloudworks, we then move into that research piece as well, where we are doing the talking to stakeholders, we're talking to team members, we're talking to technology around constraints. We're talking about all of the different things that helps us do that rich qualitative research to inform what we need to do and design evidence-based approaches. It's no point me coming and saying, I think that looks a bit weird. I need to come and say, well, I've spoken to 50 people and we believe that the patterns that we've picked up suggest that what we're doing at the moment doesn't work. The information's not easy to find. It's hard to understand. You know, we really need to find a better way to support our team members. And so that's an evidence-based approach, which means that when we sit down around a table, we can go to where we want to be, right? We can start to prioritize. We can start to prioritize our backlog. We can start to groom and make sure that we can build out our development cycle based off what's most important and what we need to get done and what adds value to team members. And it's that informed approach from research through to design, through to build, is where we really want to be. And I think that's what creates an improved team member experience. So I think there's some of the really key aspects to that in terms of portals, because it's a pretty common problem. And I think we can, you know, the nuances to it are the particular business that you're in, but there are some commonalities around, you know, team members needing to know how much leave they can take and how much they're getting paid, and all of those kind of things. And then there's the spikes in terms of what the different business needs are. But I think there is some commonality that does help us where we want to be as well when it comes to portals.
Absolutely. You did touch on this in shortly there, and I just wanted to add that again as well, or to elaborate on that a little bit. I think it's really important to reiterate here that, Adam, you talked about the collaboration between yourselves as designers and us as technology partners. It's really important that design and technology here go really hand in hand, because both design-led and tech-led approaches come with challenges, and it doesn't quite work. We do need to tightly work together to make sure that we can deliver the best experience to our employees and to our team members here, but also have the technology be able to support that. Now, Adam, was anything surprising when you were talking about testing with users and interviewing users as part of your research? Anything surprising that you learned as part of that?
Yeah, I mean, usability, whenever we interview and do research, we always do a couple of things, because sometimes it's hard to get people and we don't want to make it feel bigger than Ben-Hur about research. But, so we try and load it up with as much as possible, to ask all those contextual questions and ask all those pointy kind of questions around what the problems are, but then jump in to do an actual usability test, right? And usability testing is really just where we ask them to complete some activities and tasks on a current state or tool or process. We have one more screen. Okay. Thanks, Steve. So I think from the usability testing piece, we often find that content is, very hard to find or navigate to. But what we find time and time again is around language. And when we test around HR language, very commonly do we find that categories and subcategories in information architecture are labeled based off a BU or a business unit need, or an HR initiative or program, or change management. And there's all these different names that come up for things, but people actually don't know what they mean. And the business unit or the stakeholder who's in HR believes that a particular word will resonate with everyone because that's just what they're doing. But team members will constantly come back and go, I don't know what that word means. I don't know what content's underneath there, and I don't know what information is there. And so what that tells us is we have to strike a balance between what team members associate with that particular content or information and what the business unit needs to communicate. So we always have to apply, and this is why testing with users is great, because it is a constant reminder to the business that, yes, we have initiatives and programs and approaches, but we're a business who employs humans, and they don't necessarily understand the language that you're coming up with. So we need to always remind ourselves that IA and architecture needs to align with their needs as much as yours. And so I think that's probably the biggest aha moments for businesses, where they go, okay, I get it. We've actually gone about this the whole wrong way. We need to think about this in a very different approach. And immediately, survey results, internal surveys, and all these kind of metrics that companies measure will go up, because they've just made things align with the team members in the first place. And I think that's a really nice full circle moment. Did you want me to talk about this screen, Martina, or?
Yeah, anything you want to add to that? Absolutely. Don't want to.
Yeah. So I
Sure.
think this is a typical, when we're looking at portals, this is sort of a typical homepage portal, right? So obviously this is the WorkFest portal, but this is a typical kind of portal where a lot of thinking has to go on to make it contextual. And what I mean by contextual is it needs to be content that relates to me. I might be in a big business, and that content needs to be contextual to the part of the business that I'm in, right? So it needs to be relating to what I'm interested in. It needs to be personalized because it needs to drop down to me. It needs to tell me about information that's particular to me. I might have training that I need. I might have particular events I should attend. I might have particular things I need to do. It needs to really, particular events that I need to actually make sure that I'm a part of or prepare for, or about my leave. It really needs to to kind of home the content. And I think that's what it's always about with a portal. It's about homing content, making sure that we grab all of this big net of information that sits within an organization and bring it into this one place so that I feel confident that I don't have to go off to a SharePoint portal and another portal over here and all this other spots. I can actually feel really confident that the information is here. And, you know, a good example of that is, say, from an onboarding process. You know, when someone starts, we want them to feel confident that they can come to a central spot and get and answer those questions that they might feel uncomfortable asking to their new boss, right? So we want to make sure that they can find unassisted information, and then they can get what they need, and then they can feel more informed when they ask those questions, because it reduces their anxiety, gives them a better experience. And when we say onboarding too, we're not just talking about day one, we're talking about day, you know, year 5, when they're changing to a different team, or they're in a different agile tribe or chapter, or whatever they're doing. How do we also then make sure that it's personalized and contextual at that point in time as well? So I think there's some really good tenets here around structurally, have we done a good job? i.e., have we simplified the information architecture, tested it, and made sure that the content is sitting in appropriate spots? Have we made the content give value to me as a team member? And have we made sure that I feel comfortable that that's where that's the only spot, and I'm not missing out on some hidden area of information that, you know, potentially then raises my anxiety. But I think it's important as part of this, and Martina Sapri as well, I think this is probably the CloudWorks really brain of this, is that we did the research and the design, and we can get it to that point. But the amount of information and data and APIs that needs to be realized to home content, I think, is also, you know, that key development piece, right, that needs to be considered as part of this.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely.
And I think, you know, a good example of that as well is even on mobile, like we talk about desktop, but then, you know, because we've researched, we know that different information is of different or varying levels of importance based off where a user's at. So they might be on their mobile driving into the car park, and information when they're at the office is different to when they are, you know, at home, or they're working from home, and they have different needs. So we don't just, you know, content doesn't just stack, it's a hierarchy. We change the hierarchy on a mobile. So there's a lot more intelligence there rather than just a traditional mobile stack approach. So I think there's all of these things that come together to really provide a really rich, engaging, really positive experience for team members. And I think, you know, we've seen this a lot across a lot of different businesses, and I think that there's some really good learnings that can be brought into other organizations that are looking to improve their team member experience.
I want to come back and touch on something, or talk about something that you've already touched on, Adam. If I'm a leader of a large or mid to large organization, and I want to know more about how to measure the success of an employee experience or an employee portal, how do these portals influence the employee net promoter score, the ENPS, and what should companies focus on to see a positive impact? Or are there any other metrics or indicators that we might want to use to track and measure the success of these initiatives?
Yeah, I mean, like measurement is an interesting one, right? I think there's a whole different bunch of ways to do that. And there's one around, I think, just general employee happiness is the first one. You know, people are actually happier to be there, and they're enjoying the process. They're resigning less. You know, there's all those kind of measurements. But then I think it's probably just the frequency of content that's being looked at, and how that informs our content strategy as well from a site perspective. So if we know that in each month we've got 5,000 hits of a particular leave and pay policies and information, we know that that content's important, and we need to keep improving it and keep making it front and center. But it also plays into our how-to guides and our support and our information and our company updates as well that supports that information too. So I think the metrics to me are more interesting around content once it becomes mature, because it means that I can drive more content that's needed. I can support the content that people are interested in, and I can also drive additional conversations based off knowing what content they're looking at. So I think to me, it's all about once you get it there and get it working and people like it, learning and continuing to grow on that, and then taking that into your content strategy to make sure that, because it's no point just having a big bang new portal and then not maintaining it. So it's sort of, we've launched the new portal, but what is our content play now for the next 12 months or 24 months to make sure that we've got a really cool, engaging thing that maintains its freshness? Because that's the other pitfall of portals, right? Is that they get done once and then the content hasn't updated for 2 years and no one goes back to it, and it's a bit of a lemon. So you've got to make sure that you continually have something that people see as engaging and does change. Otherwise, that high you get at the beginning drops off a cliff really quickly. So it's definitely a really important part to continue that process.
Yeah, I'll just I'll add, just kind of piggybacking off of that, you know, that routine way to gather insight and to continue speaking to your employee base or your user, you know, and a really great way to do this is to sit next to people, especially in those early phases of onboarding and training, you know, as they work or as they use something, to catch issues that won't kind of come up when people are trying to rethink about how they were using a particular portal or a particular feature. And in a lot of ways, start with the end in mind. You know, when these types of projects are being planned, you know, ask, how can we prove the quality of this investment? What evidence do we need to call it a success? You know, and that will vary based on the organization. But often it involves identifying maybe what you can't report on today and then baking that into the solution, you know, sort of have a forward looking on that. And using those real-time analytics, those page views, those content downloads, time spent, you know, the number of active users, along with feedback from users to really get a gauge of adoption.
Fantastic. Now, if an organization is just starting to evaluate this kind of project, what are some of the key things they should know?
Well, I think they should start by doing a bit of research and talking to their team members and sort of understanding where the big pain points are. You know, setting a bit of a foundation for knowing where they are will help them know where they want to be. So I think they really need to know the research in terms of what are some of the key challenges with the business, what are some of the key challenges with their team members, and what are some of the potential opportunities that the business also wants to focus on as well. You know, so there's an objectives piece there too. So do some research, have some objectives of what you want to do, and understanding that current experience will mean that they're going to have a clear process for that North Star of where they want to be.
Yeah, that North Star and having alignment of the team, that's a worthy exercise. You know, everyone's sort of been on a project that's been a bit of a pet of kind of a singular stakeholder, and it's important to have those design principles and that case for change, and awareness of that to be something that everyone beyond maybe the core team can get behind. I think it's also really important to put together that right team, you know, choosing people that understand both the technology and the human aspects of implementing these types of solutions. As Adam alluded to earlier, these types of portals are capable of driving a number of different activities for employees. So it can be anything from opening an external app, completing an action or a checklist within the portal, housing and downloading documents. So having a handle on what that looks like and how it works in the workflow is really important to understand early, so that the right technologies and the right tooling can be purchased and implemented. And really doing enough design throughout the process. So it's not just something you sort of do at the front and you hope it's good. Having that iterative capability, those feedback loops. And something else that I've seen as well is accepting that you won't always get it right at launch. You know, so being willing to embrace feedback after go live, and as Adam mentioned, you know, that long tail of content strategy and that long tail of making sure the solution is fit for purpose.
You touched on this already a little bit, Supriya, but any other common pitfalls to avoid and tips for those that might already be on a journey?
Yeah, Adam, do you want to?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, to me, it's just about, you've got a lot of content, and it's about understanding how do we improve access to that, so how do we make it better for new people who are starting to understand your business? How do we make it better for existing people to get more information, to grow their careers with you? I mean, there's so many different objectives that you want to suck into that, but to me, the key things are around homing of your content, bringing it together, structurally looking at all of the bits you've got, the information architecture, and really pointing towards that personalized contextual experience. I think that's, to me, really the crux of it. And so, as Supriya said, having that alignment around what you want to do and getting those objectives in place will help you have a really clear vision, a North Star, for a much better team member experience.
Yeah, I'll change a quote to a popular film. If it's useful, they will come. I think thinking about usability or not thinking about usability is a really common pitfall. And not leveraging those things like contextuality, personalization, ensuring the experience, content, and feature set are really specific to the individual, or at least really specific to their role. Is where you can really get some speed bumps later in implementation.
Amazing. Thank you both for these really valuable insights. Yeah, as I said, as I think everybody on the call understands, enhancing employee engagement through a digital experience it's a journey. It's not something you do overnight. It's not something you can turn on quickly and then keep on and never worry about again. It takes careful consideration, ongoing effort. But yeah, can provide really great outcomes. Now we will have a look now if we have any questions that were left by the audience. I can see a couple that have come through. We'll start with the first one, which is what kind of training and support is typically needed when implementing these portals? Can you give some more detail on what change management might look like? Either of you want to talk to that?
Sure, I'll take it, and then Adam, you can follow up with anything I might have missed. Having a plan, having a change management plan, knowing that it's an important part of getting that adoption is really critical. And this can be anything from maybe identifying those stakeholders that are maybe going to be detractors. They don't want to kind of let go of old ways of doing things, and getting them over to the other side. But it's also about, what tip sheets do we need? What resources do we need for self-service? Do we need ongoing support, from an IT help desk or some other kind of capability that's needed to support individuals as they learn how to use the new functionality? And something that I've seen be really successful is identifying those champions. So within teams, who are those champions who can provide support one-on-one to accelerate adoption overall?
Adam, anything to add from you?
Yeah, and I think the change management piece too, that can be done as part of the research. So often when we go in and we start talking to team members, it's very much a journey for key stakeholders, and it's a journey for the team as well. And it's an opportunity for us to listen, but also act. So I think we listen, we continue to share, we continue to communicate, because that's the other thing. You don't want to just talk to team members and disappear off a cliff. You've got to talk, listen, communicate, continue to do that, and then act. And then when we start to act and they start to see the value, and often, you bring them into usability testing and they see the things are starting to appear and emerge, and actually the conversations and the talking has turned into actual designs and things that were actually going to be built to improve their experience. And I think that always means that the change management is just so much better, because everybody's been involved and everybody's had a chance to provide feedback, and then everybody sees things actually happen. And that's the key, is that often in a corporate space, there's conversations are had and research is done, but then there's rarely much of an output other than a PowerPoint or a deck, and then it doesn't really go anywhere. So I think the tangible actions is really the loudest thing you can do and the best way to keep that change management in a positive direction.
Amazing. Next Q&A question. Have you experienced resistance to change when doing projects like this? And what are some techniques to get adoption when there's resistance? Adam, that might be one for you with the hands-on experience.
We often see resistance when you have a software product or tool that's, whilst we might look at it and think, oh, that looks like it was designed in 1995, it actually, people know how to use it, right? People know the shortcut keys, they know all the keyboard commands. And so us coming in and creating a completely new experience that, yes, it might feel and look better, but does it slow them down? I mean, have we involved those power users? Have we made sure that we understand their 20 Excel spreadsheets with pivot tables and how that feeds into a new experience? Because what we don't want to do is we don't want to come in and just be bombastic. You've got people in your organization who've been doing a thing for a long time, and it's important that we listen and extract often really awesome insights that can be used by lots of other team members to improve an experience. And so it's very much about identifying those power users, those people who really get it, and bringing them into the process from a very early stage, listening to them, detonating a few hand grenades, and then going forward and actually finding ways to improve the process. And I think it is always about listening, though. And, just because I'm in UX doesn't mean I'm the only person who understands it. So it's really important to not go in that kind of mindset. It's very important to go, you know what? You've got a great sales team. I should be talking to your sales team as well, because salespeople are talking to users all the time. So they're going to know as well what they need. So identify those people in the organization who've got a really good understanding of it, and then engage them and involve them in the process.
Fantastic. Next question. Building an employee engagement workspace like what you showed earlier can seem like a mammoth transformation to manage. Could have taken 2 to 3 years to develop a comprehensive employee engagement portal. How did your client go about prioritizing the roadmap for the transformation? And were there quarterly releases? How did they go about releasing features and release value to the business? A few questions in there. Adam, do you want to talk to that one as well?
Yeah, I can talk to that one. So I think, yes, these processes can be quite large, and depending on the size of the organization and depending on the technology architecture, it doesn't move overnight, right? You've got to put a lot of things into play. So it's not just an overnight thing. But I think what drives it is the research and the evidence-based approach to that, where we can sit down and go, these are the top 10 issues that are driving problems or challenges for your employees. And then from a planning perspective, we look at those in combination with partners, including Cloudworks, to say, these are the top 10. We want to prioritize these based off what we can achieve in the next quarter, 2 quarters, financial year, and then plan it out that way. And then go through your planning, go through your quarterly approach to it. As a design team, we're embedded from a support perspective in the agile process, so that we're there to go through from research to design to support the development team as well, so that there's no ambiguity. And I think we're getting better at that, and we continue to work on that. But through artifacts and tools, and it's probably most people using Figma, but there's all those kind of elements that you can use that reduce the ambiguity between design and development and improve the experience, but allow you to also have a pathway over that 2 to 3 year roadmap. Because yes, it takes time, but incremental change and delivering constantly is also not a bad thing for team members, because they constantly see updates and they really start to see the tangible output of them being involved in a process. So it does take time. You do need some champions internally, but it's extremely rewarding. And, whenever you can improve the experience of team members and make the process improvements that you can through this, then I think it's always a very worthwhile process, and, has monetary value as well, where you actually will get tangible return from doing these things too.
Thank you. Final question at this point in time, and it comes with a disclaimer that I think you have partly answered this. How is the change management managed? management manage to drive the adoption of the employee engagement workspace?
Do you want me to take this one?
Yeah, it sounds like it's specific to the example you presented. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess the change management piece. So we work with change managers, right? We work with the change management from very early on to identify a change in a process, a change in a tool, a change to where information is located, and then communicate. So, part of it is working with internal communications and change management to make sure that we don't just tell team members the day something's going to change that it's going to change. We want to tell them a lot earlier so that they're prepared. Because people, again, whether it's a good experience or not, if you're just going to change something tomorrow and say, the way that I apply for annual leave today is like this, the way that I apply for annual leave tomorrow is like that. I understand this process, but now I don't get this process and I really need to apply for some annual leave. This is stressing me out. So we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that incrementally emails, content, information, communications are sent out so that it's not a surprise. And I think surprises is always the area of angst. If you can reduce surprise and create cohesion and create awareness and transparency, it always helps with this process. Now, there is always people who still find it a bit more challenging, and it's always about identifying those people as well and finding additional support mechanisms, be it additional training videos or other elements that can be provided to them to give them extra levels of comfort, because everybody has different levels of digital maturity. So it's about providing enough types of artifacts to support all the range of people in your business.
Fantastic. Thank you both so much for your contributions today. As we conclude our discussions, I would like to leave all of our guests, all of our viewers today with just a couple of considerations to reflect based off of the conversations we've had this morning. First of all, have a look at your current employee engagement strategy and think about where can I improve? Where am I doing well? Where am I not doing so well? Once you have a bit of an idea, come and talk to the experts, come talk to us, myself, Supriya, or Adam, anyone at Bluiq, anyone at CloudWorks, and we can help you. We can guide you through, we can provide you with guidance on digital solutions that can help you centralize this experience, communication and access to the resources required as well, and just help you with best practices and implementation strategies along the way. And then when you're ready to take the leap, when you're ready to take the jump, basically, then start small. Both Adam and Supriya have touched on this. Start small, scale up, and iterate on what you're building, and just constantly trying to evolve the platform rather than having one big bang and here it is and good luck and never going to look at this again. And finally, track the impact that this solution has on your employees and specifically on your ENPS as well, based on continue to gather feedback so that you can continue to iterate and really continue to provide the best possible solution to your team members. Fantastic. Thank you both so much, Supriya and Adam, for being here with me today. And thank you as well for anybody dialing in and watching us today as well. So Workspace is obviously a four-day event. If this isn't your first one, you might have already been able to view a few and you might already be across this. There's still, on day 3 now, there's still quite a few amazing sessions coming, both today, this afternoon, as well as tomorrow. Also, if you are, before you go into that, if you're not able to join any of the sessions live, register anyway. Anybody here is already registered, but we can send you the sessions. Anything else that sparks your interest, we'll send you the session recording after. You can catch up on it later. Or be available online as well. Finally, if you're in Sydney, feel free to come and join us tomorrow at Salesforce Tower for our customer keynote, as well as we have an after party starting about around 5 at Salesforce Tower as well, which you're more than welcome to join. All right, again, thank you all for everybody here at CloudWorks and Bluiq. Thank you for dialing in today, and I hope you found a session of value.
Thank you.